Hey, yo, it's me, Pops Van Marmalade, and you're watching the Comics-Related Madness Network. Huh? So come get some. CromCon. CromCon.
Hey, we want to shout out to our sponsors, Daytona Beach Comic Con. If you are a fan of comic books, if you're a fan of comic book conventions, and if you like meeting comic book creators and getting comics and comic-related stuff, then you need to make your plans to attend Daytona Beach Comic Con. This year's show is September 7th and 8th. Silverline will be there, so you should make your plans to be there too. We'll see you there. If you like comics and find yourself in the Orlando, Florida area, doesn't everyone come to Orlando at some point in time to see the House of Mouse? But when you're here, you need to make it a point to visit Coliseum of Comics, especially the one on East Colonial Drive. They carry Silverline Comics, even a limited edition Coliseum of Comics version of our comics. So, when you go, be sure to ask for Silverline Comics and tell them we sent you. OCD stands for Orlando Collector Deviants. OCD, Steve and Trish, they're a family of geeks who promote geek things, particularly those around the Orlando, Florida area. They're big supporters of Silverline, and we think you should be supporters of theirs too. Go give them some love. If you are an independent comic book maker and you need to get your independent comics made, you need to look no further than Kablam Digital Printing. They print our books, and they do a bang-up job. They're not only trusted by Silverline, but many, many independent comic book makers. Head on over to kablam.com and see for yourself just how easy it is to have your comic printed by them. And tell them Silverline sent you.
Hi, this is Tim TK, host of That Silverline Show on Tuesday. Join us at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific every Tuesday night as we discuss pop culture and the joys of making comics.
Hi, I'm Barb Kilber, co-host of Silverline's Wednesday Wham. Join us each Wednesday nights as we discuss comics, literature, movies, and anything else that may catch our attention.
I'm Roland Mann, and I host Silverline's Silver Sunday. Join me every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern as we make mine Silverline.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Silverline Silver Sunday. We still had the artwork up there. That was interesting. How is everyone this evening?
Sorry.
Howdy do. Doing great.
I'm going to stop sharing for a minute. Hi.
Okay.
Hello.
It's good to see you all this Sunday on... It is August now, y'all. It is August the 7th.
It feels like it.
I know, it does, and it's hot.
Very hot.
Yeah.
It's hot.
How hot is it in California, Roberta?
104 today.
Whoa.
Ooh.
Hottest it's been so far.
Wow. Wow.
Air conditioned inside. I don't care.
Yeah, that's right. It's a cool 72 on the inside, though.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I wish. Not quite.
So I remember the Santa Anas from being out there. How are they? They're still happening?
They happen.
Okay.
But not quite yet.
Because those always help to cool everything off.
Yeah, what is that? I don't even know what that is.
It's the change of wind coming from the east going. We usually get the offshore breeze coming up from the Pacific, and it's much cooler.
Yeah.
So when it comes in from the desert going towards the shore, it's hot desert wind, and it's gross.
Oh.
And it is often, really, really, really strong too. It's just the kind of strong winds you got to lean into, you know?
Yeah, it's gusty.
Yeah, it's kind of cool though, you know. It helps. Of course, the California heat is not like it is out here, right? Because it's just wet out here.
Wet heat is harder to deal with.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
The only thing good about wet heat is that fans are more effective. That's about
right.
it.
Yeah. No. Yeah. You're right, because it blows on the coolness. Yeah. So Tommy and I went biking yesterday, and when I came home, my clothes were soaked.
Soaked. Yeah.
Soaked through. I didn't realize I was, so soaking wet until I, began to disrobe, and it's like, man, everything is soaked through.
Mm-hmm.
And I've taken a cue from Tommy here the last couple of weeks. I've been trying to bring a shirt that's dry. Mm-hmm. So after we bike, I change shirts and then get into my truck. and drive home. But even that shirt was soaking wet by the
You
time.
got to have a truck shirt.
I know, sure.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah, I went back out there again today, and I think I overdid it. I think a little bit too hot today.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah, that's not good. My by the way, Tom, my shoulder is still killing me.
Oh yeah, I was gonna. Well, we got the video. We can show everybody.
So the
Oh, yeah?
the word is can.
I want to see it.
No, Roberta, don't say that.
Hey, what's
I
wrong
sent it
with
to you.
it?
Let me see if I can download it here for a minute. Okay.
Come on.
So
This is a learning curve that you have.
Oh,
so
and
proud of
Pete's
it.
not here, so we can't turn him off of not wanting to go bike riding with us when he comes for his visit.
I see.
yeah.
So
So
I
here's
went
the funny
swimming
thing.
yesterday. That was perfect.
You went swimming?
Perfect. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
We put up a pool. It's not fancy. It's just a pool.
Something that held water, that's good enough.
Yes. It works
Yeah.
great though.
Download. Here we go. Download.
So-
Save.
Roberta, wait till you see this video, and then
I am
Oh,
so
my.
excited to see this video.
try to figure out how this happened. That's the thing.
No.
I'm sorry,
all right.
Roland.
No. No, you're not.
You're right. I'm not totally sorry.
I think he did it on purpose. Wait till you see. It looks like, from my point of view, from my video. See the way I got my my handlebars. I put my phone has a mount on the front that I use from the biking computer for miles and directions and
Sure.
stuff. But you can. I've designed. I've built the mount in such a way where I can then tilt the phone up to make it like a front facing camera too. So
Very
we
cool.
had this new little feature that we went on.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So
And I was behind Ron. Yeah, there's no cussing or anything, so we should be good. Yeah.
But before we do before we do that, we'll go ahead and get us started here. So today, I've already said the date. So today we're talking about balancing action scenes with character development, or are they just character development? It's just boring. It's another word for boring talking heads. So I'm the host tonight. I'm Roland. I'm here with Roberta. Say hi, Roberta.
Hello.
And with Tommy. Say hi, Tommy.
Howdy do.
We have a couple of folks on a holiday. Pete's on holiday. Well, Curtis is not really on a holiday. Curtis is taking care of business stuff.
Taking care of
A
business.
couple that are supposed to be joining us. We'll see yet whether they actually join us or not.
One of them just said he was coming on just a few minutes ago. What happened?
He's probably trying. He goes, "It's been so long since I've done this, I don't remember how to do it."
I guess.
Just click the link, Wubba. That's all you got to do. Just click the link. Shout out to our sponsor, Daytona Beach Comic Con, happening this year, September 10th and 11th. Y'all, that is just right around the corner.
So much, yeah.
Gonna be a lot of fun. The video is playing over here. I gotta stop watching it because I keep seeing that part. It's gonna be a lot of fun. If you like comic books, if you like meeting independent comic book creators and checking new stuff out, you guys make your plans to go to Daytona Beach Comic Con. And just a little more than a month away. Shout out to Coliseum of Comics. If you are in Orlando, Florida, and you are looking for comic books, you need to go to Coliseum of Comics. If you're looking for Silverline Comics, you really need to go to their branches on East Colonial and in Claremont, and go there and ask for the Silverline Comics. Now, the cool thing, if you do that, you're going to find our Silverline Comics, and they're going to have the Coliseum of Comics logo. So not only would you get our comics, that's right, you're going to get the special Coliseum of Comics edition. And there's only so many of those made every time, but we love Coliseum of Comics. They are big supporters of Silverline. Thank you so much, Aaron and his crews at those stores. Also, a big shout out to Orlando Collector Deviants. They're a family of geeks who do geek things, and they do go to all the conventions and take videos and videos and pictures of all kinds of stuff, so that when you miss out, you can still, it's almost like being there, almost, but not quite. And lastly, but not leastly, Kablam. who is our printer. If you like, if you are an independent comic book creator and you are looking to get your comic book printed, you should go to kablam.com. It is so easy to fill out their order forms there. All you got to do is go to that front page and say, I want a comic, and then just fill in the blanks. Boom, there it is. It's just that easy. But they do have templates there. So if you're like, well, I'm not sure how to do it, they got templates and all kinds of stuff. You just got to look around. But super, super easy. The cool thing about it is, if you're a comic creator and you're nervous, like, I don't know if I know how to do it. Here's the cool thing. You can get one copy. Just one.
And we suggest if you're new, get one. Make sure you did it right. Yeah.
Yep. So you can check it out, and that way, if you need to make changes, you can make changes.
Yeah. Before you order 100, and then all of a sudden you go, oh, page 1 was supposed to be page 5. Oh, because we're gonna print it the way you send it to us.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. At Roberta's insistence, here's this
Thank
video.
you.
Just a little ways.
All right. Obviously, point of view camera here is Tommy.
Yeah, somewhere there. Just so I could make sure I was getting a little speed.
Yeah.
And there's Roland. So I'm turning around, and I'm going to follow Roland into that wooded.
All right, here we go.
That was me fixing the camera.
Yes, sir.
All right, here's Roland. So I'm following Roland through this new feature that they just built a week or so ago.
It's very narrow.
Oh, that was a good idea, getting that angle. Whoa! We didn't slide over.
How'd he fall?
Well, I
Oh,
got
you
that
all
one,
right?
Phil. Yeah. That's why I'm glad I had my helmet on. You did get you got your front tire off for sure.
I'm just glad you
Okay,
got
let's
over
record.
the wood.
Well, no, that was the easy part. I showed Renee, Roland. And Renee watches, because I watch some of these other videos where we watch people crashing all the time. She goes, how did he do that?
So
What
here's the deal.
happened?
Right? So the ramp goes up like this, right? And then there's a little flat portion, and then there is a down portion. Okay. So I tried to get really fast because I wanted to do a little off the top of it, right? And I think I made myself go too fast, because what I did is I went up the top, and when my wheel landed, it kind of landed and bumped, and then it immediately went down, and I lost control of the wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I literally just lost control of the bike.
There might have just been a groove or something. It's that simple.
No, I wish I could blame it on the groove, but I literally just lost control.
You'll get it.
So
Thank you for sharing and putting me out there.
After that.
I
but
know.
it was,
Good.
So when I fell over into the bushes there, I was telling Tommy I was really glad I had my helmet on, because when I hit, I heard a clunk, right? And it was just a stick, but there was a stick stretched out along there. It would have smacked my head. Now I probably would have been okay, because it wasn't like a log, but it was a stick, and I heard the
you
clunk.
weren't going very fast. You just kind of rolled and clumped to the side.
Well, that's what BJ said. She goes, "It doesn't look like you fell very hard." I'm like, "Well, I didn't fall too hard." I said, "Actually, I tried." Because I felt myself fall, and I said, I tried not to fall face first.
Yeah,
sure.
I was trying to go. I think that's kind of why I hit my shoulder back here, is because I was trying not to smack into my face. And
yeah, you'll learn any kind of in Robert, if you do biking stuff, any kind of biking, even if it's on road and that kind of stuff, you got to figure out, because you're going to fall at some point.
Yeah.
You just got to figure out how to get off the bike without hurting yourself, with the fall without damaging yourself. So
Yeah, it's a balance.
Yeah.
So,
but it was fun, except for the fact that my shoulder still hurts.
yeah, I bet it did.
bummer.
Is it
that looked like
or
it did.
anything, or is it okay?
No, I've been looking, and I haven't seen any bruising on it. I mean, I found cuts that I didn't know I had, like on my legs and stuff. I didn't realize I had them. I mean, I knew I'd cut my hand up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
Well, we were good for another hour after that, so it was. BJ
BJ said she saw bruising on my elbow, and I can't.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, can't see
Not
it.
much.
Yeah, I don't see it there.
If there is any, it's not much.
But yeah, it was fun. I mean, I would go back and do it again, you know, because it's kind of a rampy thing. So I would do it again. It was fun.
Yeah, I did did it a little more today, trying to get a little more
Speed.
air. Yeah, I wasn't. I was exhausted.
Yeah,
Look like fun.
it is fun.
Fun.
Yeah,
It's just
it is
hot.
fun. Yeah,
Very
the
hot.
thing, Tommy gave me his camera, and so I was trying to catch him coming up, and that's kind of what kind of inspired me a little bit, right? Because I was filming Tommy, and I'm like, I can do that. I want to do that. I can do that too, right?
Yeah.
Because the first times I was just kind of coming up, and I wasn't trying
just roll it. Yeah.
I wasn't trying to get air or anything like that, you know. But that time when Tommy was filming, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna really go. I'm pedaling harder, right? And but yeah, so I can't remember the first time we got up at the top, and Tommy's like, "Here, film me," right? So I get to filming him, and no, I stopped and watched you. And I told you cleared like 3 planks, right?
The first time I went when we weren't filming, I did really good, and then I just stunk every time after that.
And yeah, every other time his front wheel would come up, but his back wheel would just go.
Woo! Yeah.
It wouldn't do much.
Getting more and more tired. It was getting hot, getting more tired, and I'm gonna try one more time. It's when you're biking too. It's that one more time is the one that gets you.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. That one more. I'm gonna do it one more time, and then that's when you wreck.
Right. Yeah. Let's see. A couple of Kickstarter catch-ups, updates, I guess. So Roberta's just showing she had her obsoletes and
no, I had Cloud and Mouse up.
the Beyond the Stars. So she's got her. So if you back the Beyond the Stars, the obsoletes, and Cray, if you don't have them in your hands already, they're on the way. There you go. Roberta's holding hers up. You should have those on the way. Those are all out except for, I think I need 3 with art and 3 with, don't they look good, Roberta? Yeah. Did you mute yourself?
Purpose.
Oh,
there you go. So,
you muted yourself. Yeah.
I didn't mean to. My hand wasn't on it, but look how thick. It looks so good.
It really does.
It looks so good.
Yeah. So, so all of those except for, and I got a message from Stephen Butler earlier. He said he's done with all the commissions, so they're headed my way. So hopefully I should get those out. Those of you who had Butler commissions, we'll get those out with your books, and that should be the last thing that we need, except for those couple of you that I don't have addresses for. And I obviously can't send them to you if I don't know where to send them.
Well, you know what state they're in. Can't you just send it to the state and let them figure it out?
Right. Yeah. Here, deliver this to this person. Like you used to do it back in the day, right? So the superhero extravaganza, which was Switchblade 2, Teen Beetle 2, and Trump's number 3. We still are waiting on the money from Kickstarter. I anticipate that maybe tomorrow. And then I will get all the files to Kablam and pay them the money, and hopefully get those.
We'll get them
pretty soon.
Get started on that.
So, yeah, so that's where we are. If you did back that Kickstarter and you haven't filled out the survey, please do that immediately. I meant to do the thank you page today, but I didn't do it. So
because your arm was hurting too bad.
yeah, my shoulder. So if you haven't filled out the survey, go ahead and get that survey filled out so that you can put the name that you want on there. If you don't fill out the survey, what I do is I use the account name that whatever you signed up. So it might be guest 45321, right? So don't do that. Put your name on there. Bobby Weskovich says, hello, big dummy, putting y'all on Facebook at home. Thank you, Bobby Weskovich. Oh, looky here. We got us a special guest.
Yay.
Brought to you by Best Buy.
What's up, Mr. Quentin Bedwell?
What's going on, y'all?
How do you do? Sir?
Hello.
Have me a Sunday evening cup of coffee.
All right.
Yeah.
You just joining us tonight or the topic interested you, or just?
Yeah, I saw there was only 3 of y'all, you know, and Roberta's pretty cool, but you other two, you're not very entertaining.
come on.
So.
No, we're not. We're definitely not. Talking about
I'm
bike.
not
Although I
that
did
entertaining
enjoy the
either.
face plant on the bicycle, though. That was pretty awesome.
I
I
think we
told
may
you
have
that
to
was a
watch it again.
winner.
I think we should watch it again.
I know.
So here's what I will tell you this. So ever since we first started biking, Tommy has been trying to catch. This has been one of his goals. I'm afraid Tommy will never ask me to bike with him again now because he's caught me crashing. I think this is one of the things he's wanted to do since we started riding. Is I want to catch you on crash.
Ride you until you crash. Yeah.
Right.
That's fun.
Gotta catch it on video.
Tricky, Tommy.
That's good. Yep.
So, yeah. So now that I have crashed,
Wasn't that what people go to races and stuff for? They
It is.
want to play to crash.
They want to see them go fast, but some part of people do want that just
Yep.
a little.
Well, we don't want to see anybody get hurt. We just want to see
Exactly.
the mayhem and stuff. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's funny because I could hear when I crashed, I could hear Tommy laugh.
I was laughing.
But immediately, because he was behind me, right? I could hear him laugh. But the first words out of his mouth were, "Are you okay?"
No, I mean, let's be honest. You've had a couple of tip overs, and I make sure that you're okay before I start
You
giggling.
absolutely do.
But before the laughter gets really big.
He's dead that I start laughing.
That reminds me of one time I tripped in the living room, and I put my arm out to catch me on the couch, catch myself on the couch. And let me tell you, when I was going down, and it did not help. So by the, I'm laying, I literally face planted in the living room. My wife is laughing so hard, and she's trying to help me up. And here I am, 280 pounds. She's like laughing all over the place. She's like, no, are you okay? Are you okay? I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at something else. It's like,
wow.
oh my goodness, you're laughing
Nothing.
at me.
You trip and fall on her. That'll make her laugh.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, that was such a hard fall. Whenever I got up, I had the imprint to the fabric from the couch.
Oh,
I
boy.
tried to
Wow.
catch myself with on the.
Wow.
I don't even know how I did it. What happened
That's
is
impressive.
my dog. It was a hard floor and it was a cement floor, and my dog, I had just cleaned up after him with some chemicals, and it was slippery. Totally forgot. Rounded the corner. Boom. And I went straight down, and it was so hilarious to this day.
Was it one of those
I
typical
remind her about
things
that.
when you fall, you kind of you jump up immediately like nothing's hurting, and then you kind of scamper off to
There
the side.
wasn't no jumping up from. There wasn't no jumping up from that one. That one was catastrophic. It was one of those that you just don't come back from.
If you notice from Roland's pictures, by the time I turned my bike around, he's already jumped back up.
Yeah, looking around.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Well, so I knew Tommy had seen me because he's right behind me, right? But I'm like, anybody else see that? I hope nobody else. And of course, when you're hurting, you're like, oh, did anybody else see that?
I know. That's right. You go, it's okay, and then you go around the corner of a building and you start crying. You're like, oh, I'm so hurt.
Yeah. Yeah,
Tripping.
I came in and took a shower. I took Tylenol, and then I put cold compresses on it for several hours. Actually, look, it's still here at my desk. Where I forgot all about that. I had it still here at my desk.
Well, I did ask you if you wanted if we were done riding, and you said no. Let's ride some more. Let's ride some more.
Yep.
You did. We rode for another hour afterwards.
You're a trooper.
Rub some dirt on it. Get back in.
That's right.
That's right.
That's what you got to do.
It was still attached, so
nothing broke. The bike was okay. The bike was fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, no, it was fun. It was all good.
That's the funny thing when you start paying too much money for these bikes and then you wreck. The first thing you do, you check the bike out. Is it okay? What's wrong?
Yep.
What is it? Is it okay? Oh, whew, the bike's fine. Oh, my arm is broke, but the bike is fine.
My arm bends the wrong way.
Yeah, that joint is not supposed to bend that way. Let me flip that thing around the other way.
Maybe y'all need to invest in some recumbent bikes. You know, those kind that you lay on. I used to have.
So you're closer to the
Would you
ground.
like that?
Yeah, Huh?
Did you like it?
They
Oh,
look
dude, I
uncomfortable to me.
loved mine. I loved it. It's just that I'm 5'4" and a quarter, and it just the one I had bought
I would
was
not have
used,
guessed that.
and it is best if you it's best if you get one that you're measured for, or
Right.
one that's
Oh.
adjustable. And I got an older one, so they have like what's called a X seam or something, and it's the distance between your hip and the bottom of your foot. Anyway,
Right.
they're really good if you get one that is adjustable and sized to you. But the one I had, even though it was just a hair too long,
Yeah.
I loved it. Absolutely loved it. And
Yeah.
but the problem
look
was
cool.
is my wife had a regular bike. So here I am, beside her, and sometimes I would get too fast and she would, she's got a cruiser. So, it just wasn't good. So I just got a cruiser, and now we cruise around. So
what's a cruiser?
a cruiser is just a regular old, Huffy or a
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
more sitting up bike where
yeah,
you're.
no gears, no nothing.
Oh,
just
yeah,
simple,
yeah,
just simple pedal.
Yep. BJ's got one of those. Yeah, you should. Of course, I didn't really know what these things were until I started riding with Tommy. But they've got these pedal assisted, these electric bikes. So we went over to
Cheater
our friend,
bikes.
Yeah. We went over to my friend Bill's house, and he's got one. He said, "Roland, you should try this." And so he gave me the instructions of how to do it. I am not kidding. You pedal that thing and it goes.
Yeah.
It will move.
Yeah, them things, they can get up pretty fast too, depending on the kind you get, even the cheap ones. So if you get one of them 1500 watt or whatever it is motors on there, I mean, you can get up to 25 miles an hour faster than you should be going on a bicycle.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I felt I don't know how fast I got up to going, but I felt I was going pretty fast. It was just in a neighborhood and it was straight. So, but I felt like, man, I'm going really fast on this bike.
Recumbents are awesome because, I mean, when you're on a bike and you stop, of course, you can't do all the stuff like Tommy and y'all are doing, on the bike trail.
Not in the dirt, yeah.
Now they
It's
do
more
make them
safe.
where you can. They got the fat tire bikes. They're pretty.
Some of the places that we go are really sharp turns and stuff. I don't know how you'd even make it.
Do that. Yeah, you tear one up doing that, and they're too expensive to.
That's a specialty.
Still they look pretty cool.
Hole.
I see them on the road some, and I'm like, that looks pretty cool. I think
if you want to go on a long track, or just ride, not really do any kind of really crazy stuff, perfect, absolutely perfect.
You know what I really want to do, and we're so far off topic. You know what I really want to do? They've got all these abandoned rail lines out west. I want to get on one of those things. It's a bicycle that's attached to the rail lines, and you ride the bicycle on the rail track. I want to do that, So you're riding along the railroad tracks, but you're still on a bicycle, I just think that would be cool. Tommy, you sending me another video. What are you sending me?
No, that's so they can see me not wrecking after this.
So they can see a pro, right? A pro.
Oh no, I didn't.
Oh yeah, okay,
I like our dialogue at the very end of it when I put the bike down. He was like, "You're gonna do it again?" No. I was a big baby. I was like, "No, that stunk so bad."
I was gonna say, what is Tommy sending me? He's sending me another thing here. All right, so share. Let me share video. All right, so here comes the video with Tommy.
Yay.
Wasn't on this one either, so we're good.
Clear.
Make it even.
Here he comes, Tommy Knievel, in the death-defying.
Ooh, there he is. Jam.
Listen though,
Not as good as his last job, but he's gonna do it again.
No, I'm done.
No, I'm done.
That's not as good.
the first one when I was fresh, I did pretty good that first jump, and then every one after that just stunk, and I just gave up.
So we're gonna watch this again. So what I want you to see, right? So when Tommy comes up, his bike moves a little bit, right? So his front tire hits, and his bike actually jiggles a little bit. That's what happened to me. Only I lost control.
Tommy Knievel.
It's when he comes up this lip right here at the very end. That's where he lost control of that little lip.
Look at that crazy man.
See,
oh,
see
I
how
saw
you
it.
bite
Yeah,
it?
I saw
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
A little
Not
bit
as
of
good as his
fishtail in the
last
air there.
Yes, that's
But
exactly
it's gotta
it.
do
Yeah.
to you.
No,
And it's so small, you don't notice it, but that's
Very
what happened to
small.
me. And when my front tire came down, I just lost control, where Tommy he's a master. He's like, no, I got this, man.
Oh, no. Yeah, I could. If I was a master, I could jump more than two inches.
You did the first time, though.
I did the first time pretty good.
Well,
but
next time you go on it, you need to get more speed, Tommy. That way you can get more air.
So
I
next
know.
time,
Just need to record the first one. The first
well,
go.
next time
Make sure Roland's, filming though.
you send me ahead the first time. Say, here, Roland, take this, and then I'll go ahead and go across, and then I'll wait for you, and I'll film you first time. Because you got, like I said, you cleared like 3 planks that first time. I was impressed. But then the other times were kind of Tommy looks
That's
like he's
some
stuck
evil
now.
Knievel stuff right there, or evil Knievel Tommy.
Yeah, Tommy Knievel.
Mhm.
Tommy's frozen now.
All right, is that it for the videos?
Oh,
Yeah.
hello, big dummy, putting y'all on Facebook at home.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, Tommy's gonna have to reconnect. Oh,
There
there
we
he
go.
is.
There we go.
I don't know what happened. Sorry.
You had an internet hiccup. Okay, so let's jump into the topic. So, Roberta, you want to color?
Yep.
You want to share?
I will share.
I'm glad Quentin came on because he's the penciler of the group here today, so he can tell us how he handles some of these things.
That's true.
And what's the subject for this evening?
So tonight's
All right,
subject, we're talking about
How much money did you spend at the adult dance clubs, and how much is too much money?
Well, dancing or watching?
watching it really.
No.
I thought, Tommy, you were going to say how many ones do you bring?
How many ones do you bring? That's right.
I only go on Wednesday amateur night. 'Cause that way I can make money.
So,
Yeah.
So we're talking about balancing action with character development, or balancing action and slow scenes, balancing action and talking heads, but basically balancing action and non-action scenes. How do you handle that? What's good, right? If you're going to read a 22 page comic, I guess we'll just start there. If you're going to read a 22-page comic, how much action do you want in those 22 pages, and how much, for lack of it, we'll just keep calling it character development, because I think that's what a lot of writers would try to cut. Well, that's character development. I need the talking heads because, that's how I develop my characters. Stan Lee might disagree with you, but okay, for the sake of argument, we'll say that. What do you guys think? What are your thoughts?
Me personally, I think it depends on the audience you're shooting for. If you're shooting for younger people, they got to have a lot of lights, camera, action, flash, a lot of action, adventure, that kind of stuff. So I don't know. I guess seems like, the younger audience, you would probably do a little less of the character development and just do stuff during the comic. And the people who are if you're doing something that's takes a little more brain power, maybe you'd spend a little more time on the other. I guess that all goes without saying, though, doesn't it?
Well, I would say you're absolutely right. I would say genre and audience absolutely are going to help you decide, what it is you want to do.
It depends on if it's just a everyday book, or is this super duper? Well, picture like the Walking Dead comics and stuff. I mean, if it wasn't for those any of the scenes with they're fighting the zombies and stuff, there's no, they're not talking because the zombies can't talk back. So you got some writers that like to intermix all of the dialogue. And I don't know if we're supposed to mention, but I always liked how Peter David wrote a lot of stuff, because he could have them all fighting and still he's telling the story while they're fighting and stuff. And I really enjoyed reading his books.
Yeah.
Because it was, the people, the Hulk and them were doing their thing, but he was still telling a story that was going along while they were fighting and stuff.
Yeah.
That can work well.
Yeah, and so then you didn't have to have as much of just people standing around talking.
Yeah.
Well, if they're in tights, like I'm thinking of the old Spider-Man books I used to read, and if they're in tights and they're all dressed up, you need to put them guys to work.
Yeah.
You don't want them standing around having a conversation and they're in their, underwear and capes, and 'cause that's just seems like they're dressed for action. You need to put them into
put them in
action,
action.
Yeah.
Well, I will tell you this. You guys know Avengers was always one of my all-time favorite
I was
comics.
fixing to bring that up.
Well, I went to. Were you with me the time I was at the shop and I said I'm not buying this? I can't remember. I went to a comic shop. It had been years since I bought the Avengers. Okay, and I had heard there was an artist who I really liked was going to be drawing a few issues. I'm like, oh, this is so good. I can't. I was just so excited, right? So I went in to get it, and there it was, and I started flipping through it, and like the first, I don't know, 8 pages, they were all just sitting around the table drinking coffee, and I'm like, what the heck is this? And I'm like, this is the Avengers. Why are they sitting around the table drinking coffee? I don't want to see this.
That's weird.
If they're talking about something, give me one caption to summarize it. Move on, right?
Yeah.
And look at this. Jerry says, "What's up, Jerry?"
Hey, Jerry.
Yeah.
Jerry says some good writers, like Stan Lee, knew how to write character development into his action. Not all action is fight scenes. My opinion, talking heads and exposition should not be 20% of a comic book.
I absolutely agree with that. Going back to those Spider-Man comics, he'd be swinging between buildings and stuff while he's dialoguing in his head, and you're you're seeing all that. He's not just sitting there, like you say, around the table drinking coffee, So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things, of course, I don't do television and film, but one of the things that I tell, my student writers, I'm like, look, stop having your characters sit around, do nothing. Have them move. Have them walking down the road. Have them moving from one room to another. Have them, exercising. Have them doing something.
Put them to work.
Just sitting, right? Just if they're just sitting, that's boring. But make another good Stan Lee example, I think. Excuse me. The X-Men. One of the things the X-Men used to have is the Danger Room.
Perfect place. Yeah.
They would go to the danger. They would go to the Danger Room. They would practice their powers so that you would get to know what their powers are. You would get to know what their interpersonal relationships are, right? As they're showing off their powers. And you would build the story, but it's action. It's not necessarily a fight scene, but it's action, right? Jerry says, show the car speeding away as they talk, right?
Yep.
Anything. Yeah. Get them moving.
I think you also need to have different shots too. Like instead of the talking heads back and forth, head. I think like talking about the car, have the car is speeding, have a shot of them, outside the car looking in through the front glass, have, different views.
Make it interesting. Yeah.
That way you're not, oh my goodness, doing the same head turn back, back and forth. That's just, that's
two shot. Yeah.
You gotta keep people visually, involved.
That's right.
We're already working with a still, storytelling genre,
Right.
So, make it interesting.
Yeah, I think one of the things I think in a lot of comics today, a lot of modern comics, is they seem to be afraid of longer shots and medium shots. Or it's like, well, I don't want to show the city. I don't want to draw the city. I just want to draw the people. And so you get the people and you don't get any background. It's hard to understand where they are. I like those that, if you see Spider-Man and then you cut back and Spider-Man's tiny little bit again, but you see, okay, then you put it in perspective. You're like, okay, I get where Spider-Man is now, right? He's swinging here or he's headed out towards the docks or whatever, but give me some kind of perspective.
I like to give some sort of establishing shot. And, they do, if you watch a TV show, They do it in TV shows when they
All
go
the
back
time.
and forth from different characters. They'll show like the building, and then
Yep.
they'll go inside the building to a room. They'll have the camera panning, down the hallway or whatever,
Yep.
and then they get to the characters. But it all
Yep.
happens just like that, so you don't even
Just like
notice
that.
it.
Yep.
I
Even Jerry says
always
establishing shot.
I always try
Yeah.
to get that establishing shot and then go from there. And if it's been too long, I like to go back and put a background again.
So let
just something.
let me ask you a creative question here. Okay. So so I think that's the writer's job. If they're going to put it in, if they're going to write the story, I think it's the writer's job to say, establish, right? Let's see, here's where we are. Let's say that you're drawing a story and you're like, we have made a sudden jump from one place to the other place, and we've never been to this place before, and there's no establishing shot. Do you, as the artist, go, let me just squeak one in here. Let me cut out a tiny little panel here to establish. Do you do that because you know that's what the reader needs? Or do you call out to the writer and say, hey,
I
writer,
usually will ask, hey, I like to give it, which up front, usually I like to tell people, I like to give establishing shots. I like to, and I know like on stuff I've worked on so far, I like to either say something to them or I like to try the best I can. It depends on what the communication is. There's, sometimes it's hard to get the writers. But anyway, I like to try to talk to them first, but I do try to, condense. You try to put some sort of, establishing shot if I can, if there's any possible way.
It's funny though you mentioned that, Quentin, because you're right. The good TV shows, they all have establishing shots. And the funny thing about it is, a lot of people say, well, what about the Marvel movies? I rewatched one of the Avengers not too long ago. I guess as we were gearing up for the Thor movie. Every time they cut to an establishing shot. They even had the word superimposed.
Yeah.
Berlin, right?
Yeah.
Sokovia, and I'm like, okay. That is an establishing shot, and they're telling me exactly where I'm at because I don't know what those cities look like, right?
Yeah, there used to be a show named The Fringe, and they used to do that, but the word looked like it was part of the.
Yeah, there'd be a panel by, and they would move the lettering to fit inside the panel. Yeah.
They had it all in perspective, which was really cool.
Yeah, it was really neat. It looked like part of the background, the words.
Oh, that's
it was really, really neat. But you don't notice that stuff if you're not looking for it, if you're not a writer, if you're not and that's good. That's good that you don't notice it. But I try to put it in there anytime I can.
You don't notice it, I think, because it's good storytelling, right? What happens, what you do notice, right, is when you shift scenes and you don't know where you are.
Mm-hmm.
If you shift scenes and you're like, what's going on? Where are we? What's happening? That's when
this guy get in the room,
right?
Who is this guy?
That's when you, as the consumer, you know it. But if they establish for you, boom, you don't notice that. What I was going to say though is the fact that you even pointed out, the TV shows do it, film does it, right? I don't understand why my student writers don't get that. That's not a hard thing. But it's like almost every single script I read, I'm going to say probably 90% of them, they don't have an establishing shot. They just start the story, and I'm like, how are you? And of course, I have a set of snarky comments that I just cut and paste for them. A lot of times, it's like, how will your reader know what, where, and when we are? And other problem I see, and this is not exactly related to the action here, but is they don't call the character, they never name the characters, right? So you're reading, these two people just start having a conversation, and you're like, oh, who are these people? Why do I care? They don't even call each other by name. And of course, when you talk to them, like, well, real people don't do that. I'm like, yes, but you're not writing real people, are you? You're writing entertainment. Jerry says, should be a writer cue for a scene change, but it's up to the artist to elaborate.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I think I think that's, to me, that's that kind of synergy that you find between, an artist and a writer, is kind of knowing, okay, I got to establish here. It's not specifically mentioned. I got to establish.
Yeah. I think as an artist, you should always try your best to, mention it to the writer or say something
Yeah.
to them, unless y'all, like I said, unless y'all already have an understanding.
Yeah.
The artist has already said, I like to do establishing shots. You've already got some sort of understanding going, but I think you should try to, because it is I try to kind of stick with the writing as much as possible. So if you are an artist, you should see what the writer's vision is, because that's really what you're trying to do, is carry out the writer's vision, because the writer knows stuff that you may not necessarily know that's coming down and issues later, and you may do something. Oh, I think it looks good this way, and you don't really realize it, but you just killed something, a story point that he's got going way later.
Right.
But at the same time, sometimes you have to do what you can. I just think you shouldn't change it really major. Right. You shouldn't change stuff. Maybe you could consolidate, add a panel. If you can put some more stuff in one panel, that's good sometimes. But for the most part, it's something you need to run by the writer.
I don't know a writer. Well, that's not true. I could probably Jerry and I could probably come up with a couple of names. Most writers that I know of, if you as the artist just dropped them a line and said, "Hey, I'm working on page 8. There was no establishing shot, so I'm just going to add one in." Most writers that I know will just go, "Hey, that's cool."
Yeah.
They'll be like, "Yeah, you're right. There should be something there." Yeah.
Hey, that's cool. Now, like I said, Jerry and I could probably come up with some names that they would, "Oh, I'm the writer, and you will write it. You will draw it exactly as I have written it because I am writer." Yeah, but most of the writers I know are like, "Oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah, you want to add that panel in there? Cool, make it happen." Yeah.
So when the art doesn't have those establishing shots, who's gonna get blamed when the reader reads it and they see you at a show and says, "Well, I don't even know what happened," and the writer's going to go, "Well, is that penciler? He's the one that didn't draw what I told him to draw."
Yeah. Okay. I mean, so that is a good question. Who would get blamed? I would blame the writer. Me. I would blame the writer. In fact, I will tell you this, Tommy. So you know that my students read a lot of comics off of Indie Planet, right?
Yep.
So one of the things, occasionally I hear from students like, "Hey, I read this book, but I had no idea where I was. I had no idea who the characters were. I was confused." My response to them, and then they say, "I was confused, but I guess that's just because I don't know how to read comics." I respond to them as like, no. You're confused because the writer failed to do his job and communicate to you when and where you are and who these characters are. It's not because you don't know how to read the comic. It's because the writer does not know how to or did not effectively communicate these things to you in that issue. Jerry said, "Shh, no names."
We should get on the show sometime.
I yelled at him, tried to get him to join us last week. Jerry, you want to join us?
I'd love it if you would.
Yeah, and he said he did say he would be happy to come back sometime.
Yeah, when he's ready.
Yeah, I forget, he was working last week. I forget, he did tell me what he was doing. I forgot what he was doing, but he was working and he had us on in the background listening to us while he was working. He probably had on a.
I love that. That is the best use.
No, I agree.
Me too.
I love that. I do that all the time.
That's what I do.
We might
when
not
I'm
quite be
working,
as
every
interesting as
time I'm
Jerry
working,
Springer,
yes. Every time I'm working, I put something on or someone on to listen to.
So Jerry gave the number. Where's it at? He said 20%. Okay, so that's not the number that I have personally. I actually like Jerry's number better. But I know that for me as a writer, one of the things that I do, because I always kind of plan before I actually go to it. I always kind of plan my story out. Here's what my story is going to be, and I know how many pages I'm going to have. I have kind of a personal thing that, all right, I know there's going to be an artist who's drawing this story. And for me, I like it when I hear, an artist who I've worked with say, dude, Roland, I really liked the story. That was a lot of fun to draw. You know, as for me as a writer, yes, of course, I want to hear, you know, fans tell me that they loved reading it, but I like to hear the artist say that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that. Right, that makes me feel good because it means that I'm doing something that is that they're enjoying as well. So I know that that artists don't want to draw talking head after talking head. I know that, right? I've known artists long enough over the years that those are boring, right? They're not only boring to draw, they're boring to read, right? But a lot of, as we said earlier, a lot of writers were like, well, I have to have this story part in. I have to communicate this. Okay, good. I get that. I totally understand it, but do it in a way that it's not boring, right? So my thing is like, okay, so all of our books are 22 pages. So I'm like, okay, I have to have at least a minimum 11 pages of just action, right? Because that's half the story. Yeah. But now, okay, so if we're going to talk about the other part, I do try to make sure characters are moving instead of when they're having a conversation, right? They're walking or flying or you know, doing some kind of movement when they're doing that. But for me, I kind of have that. Okay, I at least if 11 pages is not all out action,
yep.
I have to revise my story because I'm there's too much that'll put you to sleep. Jerry says this is always a last minute drop in because I'm an hour behind you. I'm usually stuffing my face while you're on. So here's another good reason.
We'll watch you. We'll watch you eat your food. We'll watch you eat your taco. That's what you do when you take somebody out to dinner anyway. You watch them eat. Hey, come on, let's go.
You can also join with audio only if you feel like it.
That's right. Yeah, you could join and not turn your camera on.
No, you just have the camera facing the wall while you're sitting over to the side.
Well, you can turn the camera off.
Or turn your camera onto, Batman drawing.
So this is another point of view from Jerry as the artist. He says, original pages with all talking heads do not sell.
Yeah.
Nobody wants those. Jerry said, slurp. So Jerry once told me that, he could take we were talking digital one time. Jerry and I were talking digital, and I'm like, hey, why would you not make the move to digital? He said, well, if I do a Batman page or DC pays me my page rate, right? They do that. They get all that done. And then I can take those pages to a convention and sell them to fans. Okay. If it's digital, obviously you don't have that, but he's like, okay, so if it's just a page, let's say it's not Batman. He's like, if I can take it to, I get page X, right? Or fans would be willing to pay me X dollars for this. If it's from a Batman book, obviously, because it's a popular character, they're going to pay him X and a half, right? He's like, if Batman is on it in action, it's X times 2, right? They're willing to pay the money because it's the action pages, right? And
yep.
And so I think you have to keep that in mind that's the aftermarket for an artist. Although I will say sometimes some of the coolest, and I'm even thinking of Jerry's art here, some of the coolest images are those where Batman is completely his cape is completely wrapped around him and he's just kind of standing there looking, right? So all you see is the eyes.
Yeah, pre-butt whooping.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He's just standing there. And
you just messed up. Yeah.
Of course, the action ones are cool.
Or
too,
post. Could be post, but butt whooping.
Just standing there with the cape completely around him, his body, so none of his costume on the inside shows. Those are some pretty cool images too.
Yeah,
but
that's where Batman shines. Whenever those ominous shots of him.
Yeah,
I mean, it's pretty cool to watch him. Put a boot in somebody's mouth, but but the best shots of him are the iconic shots, the dark shots, him up on top of a building looking down and stuff.
Brooding and the staring.
On a gargoyle, right?
Yeah, the silhouetted figure with those wide eyes squinted.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah.
Of course, now that now that we've had several movies, I can't. When I imagine that image, I can't help but think, Gotham is my city. I am Batman. I am the Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Jerry says we all love the dark superhero standing in a lightless room.
Yep.
Except for Roberta. She's like,
Why? I like it. I'm okay with low lighting and all that. It's
she's
fine.
like, I'll just color hold everything.
As long as there's not a room full of fire, right, Roberta?
Well,
Okay.
I
I've been
love
seeing
fire.
you working on this fire, man. You are doing it. You're selling
doing
that.
it.
See?
But I got to tell you that, a low light like that, it gives you a lot of thought as to where the lighting comes from. So it can be a challenge.
Jerry said he's joking.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what you draw Batman. Draw Batman in a dark room at night, right? Well, so what's the panel? 2 eyeballs, the 2 little slits, right? That's all you see.
Yeah. You could do some really good spoofs with that too. He's in the dark there, and a person's, trying to say, "Who said that?"
Man,
you see this good. Yeah.
One of my all-time favorite independent comic books is one called Invisible World, by a guy by the name of Gary Denier or something like that. Literally, so it was everything was invisible. The entire comic book had no art in it.
I can't imagine how that looks.
It was only sound effects and word balloons and captions. It was hilarious. They had Captain Inviso.
Sounds revolutionary.
They had Green Inviso. Then they had the Green Inviso with arrows. It was funny. Oh my gosh, I laughed so hard. No art, and it was lettered by, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was Kurt Hathaway. Big name letterer. So, Jerry says $signs.
Yeah.
So it was really funny. Invisible World. Yeah, you could if you find that one in the cheap box, you should buy it. On my word, because it was just hilarious. Everything was invisible.
Well, on the other hand,
as a colorist, I totally reject that idea.
There was, yeah. On the other hand, there was Silent Interlude, G.I. Joe, with Snake Eyes. There was no dialogue, and that thing was awesome.
I've heard about that one, but I've never seen it. Yeah.
Just look it up, Silent Interlude. It's good. It's good. Because everything is told with pictures. That's pretty challenging for an artist and a writer, because everything has to be told, with visually.
Yep.
So,
yeah. No, I've heard that mentioned before, but I've never seen it. I was not a G.I. Joe reader, so
when I first bought that comic, and by the way, back then, that's when they were only in in Columbia, Mississippi, they were only in drugstores. Maybe you could get them at the grocery store. There were no real comic stores much around. And that issue finally came out, and I was so glad to get it home, and I didn't look at it before I got home. And then there was no words, and I was like, this has got to be a misprint. So I just threw it in the corner for a long time. I didn't actually learn to appreciate it till way later.
Yeah. Wow. You said Columbia. Do you mean Columbus or
Columbia, Mississippi, about 30 miles from Hattiesburg?
Yeah.
That's not where I am now, but that's where I grew up. Columbia, Mississippi.
Yeah. Because Tommy's down there from crap.
New Augusta. Yeah, that's where Columbia is. Yeah.
Yeah. So what about what are some other strategies then so we all know that we like the action, right? So what are some other strategies to take those quote unquote those character development moments and make them where they're not just talking heads?
More than just what the I really like the when they're doing the stuff and you still have the dialogue. So if you take all those talking head panels and then make them, doing all the stuff, like you said, the fighting, or they're running around, or they're cooking breakfast, or they're
Yeah.
doing stuff. You got to do that. You got to make it. You got to keep the page moving. Otherwise, I like some of those Nightman pages that were just photostats of the same thing over and over again, and it's like, I see why the penciler just didn't draw anything, and he just photostatted stuff over, and I was supposed to ink that, and I'm like, no, I'm just going to go photostat it too and just turn it in.
Yep.
Just the same guy head, so we facing this way and then facing this way.
Well,
and then
you
facing
know,
this way.
if you watch television and you look at comics and stuff, a lot of times there is like an SOP for different things that you want to do, and there's different ones that you can pick. It's like let's just say you've got the movie where they've got this elaborate plan, and they've got everybody in there listening to what the plan is to go do whatever it is. Well, there's this SOP, standard order of operations, or procedures, whatever. Anyway, it's like there's a lot of different ways you can do that, and it'd be interesting. You're going to take some time out of your film or out of your comic with them just standing around a table explaining what they're going to do. But then you've got like this one tactic that you can use, and that is, okay, what if you have a shot of them standing around the table, and then they go into the action and you see the caption as he's explaining it, they're actually doing it, so there's a tactic like that. Or let's say if somebody's given a backstory or something, instead of them sitting there this way, that way, talking heads, what yada yada yada, what if you went back to that, use that tactic and actually, kind of gray out the colors or whatever, and do like there's tactics, there's different ways you can go about doing stuff. If you watch enough film or look at enough media in general, you can kind of decide which way you want to go with it. But don't just do anything but the talking heads.
Yeah. Wubba says hola.
Hello.
I respond, you're supposed to be on here with us, Wubba.
Join us.
Yeah. And then he says, nice colors, Roby.
Yay, thank you.
Jerry says, think like storyboarding. Move the camera. Bird's eye, worm's eye, close-up, wide shot, silhouette. Artist needs to think strategically. And I think that's exactly what Quentin was just saying there, is that you got
we're working with a still art form. Yeah. You have to take as many possible ways to make it interesting as possible, because like we're not dealing with animation and all that kind of stuff. There's just a lot of stuff that you need to make it as interesting as possible for somebody's eyeballs. You need to have good money shots in there, and stuff like that. You need to take time sometimes. I think sometimes writers try to do too much writing.
Yeah, I agree.
I have nothing against writers and telling a good elaborate story. That's good, but don't try to do too much too quick. I mean, have some time, some pacing for some story and some good shots of stuff, that people can go back to. This page right here is awesome. But if you got too much stuff going on and you're trying to explain too much stuff, and a guy's cutting a flip, yet he has 3 speech bubbles coming from him, while he's cutting a flip, it's just too much.
Spider-Man did it. He could do it.
I know, right? That dude must have been able to talk fast.
Yeah, I think that
never lose his breath while he's talking.
Yeah, I think so. So one of the things, so Wubba kind of steals my thunder here. Wubba says, sorry, I'll be on for sure next Sunday. I think you said that last Sunday too. He says you could poop all over 90s books, but they were so fun to look at.
Oh yeah.
And I think this is one of the key elements that I think we have to remember, is that they are comics. We do want to look at them. We do want them to be fun to look at, right? And I think back to Claremont and Burns' X-Men, right? I don't know if y'all have looked at any of those in a while, but there are a lot of words on those pages. Mm-hmm. And we weren't complaining about the words then, and you don't really hear people complaining about the words today. They still refer to those Claremont and Byrne X-Men as some classic stuff. So I think now I go back and read it, and I'm like, okay, he could cut some of this out. But I think there's a balance there between
definitely
story and art. because for me, even as a writer, dude, I love to look at the art. And my problem is that, when I'm writing my own stories, I'm like, I don't want to cover this up. So how can I say it?
That's also a bad thing. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, oh no, how can I do? So here's another thing I'll say though. And so when you have a writer and an artist that work together more than for one issue, you begin to create some kind of synergy, symbiotic relationship. Okay, I know how
chemistry.
Yeah, chemistry. There you go.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I know. You begin to know how the other is going to do things, and so it's only natural that you're going to get better at it in doing it. And this is one of the reasons I think something like the Claremont Byrne X-Men were so good. How many times do they talk about? How many times do you hear people talk about the first issues of the Claremont and Byrne run? Nope. You don't hear that. They're talking about the ones later, right? So Claremont and Byrne had to knock get some of the tough parts out, and then they got in the rhythm, right? And then they produced some really good stuff. Jerry, Jerry says those first issues of Megaton Man. I'm going to throw this refrigerator at him. He's going to throw that refrigerator at me. He's jumping away from the refrigerator. Those were hilarious.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I bought.
I would start laughing.
Yes. I bought some Megaton Man in the cheap boxes. The last show I went to, I hadn't had a chance to read them yet. Yeah, those are funny.
Well, I'd like to say before we get too far away from it, to me, there are two, and I would even say three kinds of comic book readers. And I am a visual, like, I will buy a comic. I don't care what the story is. If the art is kicking in that book, I will buy it and I'll study it. I'll look at it. Of course, I'm an artist. Yes.
Yep.
But there are other people that I know that aren't, if it's got good art, they'll buy it because they appreciate good art. They like good art. And then you got the people who are writing. They love good writing. They will not buy a book that, if they're not familiar with the writer, if they don't, if it doesn't really look like, there's some good story points in there, then they don't really care for it. It's not really for them. Then you got people who are kind of middle of the road. But I know this, even being a artist, even though I lean more toward the art, usually what happens is when I pick up a book for the art, I will get it and I will accidentally start reading it. And before long, I don't even see the panels anymore. Like I am so invested in it, I don't even see the panels. I'm just reading and seeing what's going on and following the panels. And before long, I have to turn back to start,
do a second reading so you can.
So I'll read a comic like 4 different times. I'll go through it as I study it, just because I'm trying to study the art first. But I get really invested in the story. But so I'm just saying, I think you really had, like you said, you had to have a good balance of art and story. Don't try to do too much at once. If cut the fat, where you can, because because you want to try to reach as many people as possible. And although there's some people who love a good, heavy, deep story, there's some people who they're there for the whole experience, and it's just they see too many words, are like, read a novel,
right? Well, I can't tell you the number of times I hear people talking about comics with a lot of words in them. They're like, oh man, that writer should have just written a novel. Don't write a comic. Write it. If you love words that much, just go write a novel. To some extent, I agree with that. It's like, okay, look, if you really want these many words to write this many words, just go write a novel, because that's not what comics are. That healthy, combination of both. I will say I'm a little bit of both, Quentin. There are certain artists that I will buy pretty much anything they do, right? Walter Simonson is one, right? If Walter Simonson is drawing a book, chances are I'm going to buy it. Now, there have been Walter Simonson was the artist I was talking about earlier, who did that Avengers book. And when I went to look at it, I'm just like, oh my gosh, how did he draw this? Because the story just looks so boring. And then I ended up actually not buying it. But there are artists that I will buy something no matter, or I'll at least go with the intentions to buy it.
Right,
no matter,
right.
No matter who it is. I don't have too many writers that way, oddly enough, in comics. There are a couple. Most of the writers that I felt that way about don't write as often as anymore. There were folks like Steve Englehart, who was on the Wednesday Whammers not too long ago. I would buy, back in the day, if Steve was writing it, I would, you'd sign me up because I'd buy it, Roy Thomas has, over the years, Roy Thomas has become one of my all-time favorite writers. I think Roy is very underrated by the industry, and some of that was probably because he followed Stan. Wubba says, so by that theory, we should be rocking by 6 and 7, Roland. You're right, Wubba. We got to get you to do number 2, though. Then we'll go to 3. Tommy. But you're right, Wubba. We should be rocking, man. And I believe that. I do believe that. I do believe
you
that
will. Definitely.
It's like any kind of team, like a band, right? You put a couple of people, give them different instruments and put them together on a stage. They might be able to play some stuff, but you give them a couple of weeks to practice and figure out what the other person does, and they're going to, then they'll start rocking. And I think comic creation is a lot that way too. I think you got to kind of figure out what the other one. Oh, look at this. I love this comment by Jerry. Jerry says Roy Thomas will always be a benchmark. I don't disagree with that at all. I just, the more I read Roy, the more I realize, wow, he just, fantastic writer. Okay, all right. What says I count 2 as 6? Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, you're keeping the numbering going. Yeah, I thought you meant 6 or 7 issues. So I was thinking, okay, if it's going to take us 6 or 7 issues, then we got to get you to the 2nd issue before we can get to the 6th issue. But I see what you're saying now. Yeah.
Well, I just like to say too, I have not seen any bad writing yet. And I'm not saying that just because I do Silverline work, but I have not seen any bad writing yet.
That's because Roland hasn't been bored yet.
Yeah. I mean this literally. When I was doing the Trump's book, I've rarely ever ran into issues where, hey, I really need to, do this or do that. I think there was only like twice I ever had to contact you about anything. It was always just stuff that while I was drawing. It was just weird stuff. It wasn't even. So that's good. It's really good to have a good seasoned writer.
I appreciate that. It's funny because Tom Mason came on here a couple different times, and one of the things that one of the things he mentioned, which I never really thought of before, is when he was talking about, how does Silverline define itself? And I've always told you guys fun. It's got to be fun. But ultimately, and one of the things Tom said, he says, hey, what is Silverline? It's comic books that Roland likes. And I'm like, there's a lot of truth to that, right? Because someone brings something to me, and I'm like, I don't.
Well, that's what I'll start telling people. Well, it's comic books that the owner likes.
It's Roland's picks.
Yeah. What's a good thing? You like good stuff, right?
I know.
Yeah, I like good stuff.
How about we should just do that as a tagline? Roland has good taste.
Yep.
Stuff that Roland likes. That's what we can.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I will say, Quentin and Tommy heard me. I was kind of grumbling to Tommy, right? I listened to, and if the Whammers are listening, I'm gonna call them the carpet for this. They were talking about Silverline team up the other day, right? That was their topic. And I'm like, man, I am all over this. This sounds cool. I so want to listen to what they're saying. Okay. And
I
yeah,
agree with that, Wubba.
here what?
Roland writes very visually open, so if an artist gets got bored, that would be on the artist. Yeah, I agree with that.
Well, thank you, Wubba. Thank you, Quentin. Here, this is interesting that Jerry says. He said, not many books got made that Stan disliked in the early days of Marvel. So there you go. What was early Marvel? Books that Stan liked. Crap, what was I saying? Oh, the Whammers. So here's the deal, right? So they're talking about these Silverline team ups, right? And I'm like, this is a topic that I'm going to be very interested to see what they say about, what possible Silverline team ups could there be, because I really like the idea of Silverline team up, right? As kind of even an ongoing thing. I really like that idea.
Well, we do have a title called Silverline Team Up.
Yes, we
so
do.
It'd be great to know what some people might want to do.
Right. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Pete's really close to being done with number 2. So
I'm working on Trump's 4 now. I'm working on Trump's.
Man, I can't wait to read Trump's 4. I'm so
see how it turns out.
But so here's the deal, and I hope I'm not going to call you guys to the carpet either. But this is a comment that I heard from a handful of them. They would say, Dean's a really good host. He would go, hey, what do you see here? What do you do that, right? And he would call them, and what do you think about this character and this character? And then I heard him say, well, I haven't read that book yet. I heard more than one of them say that, and I'm sitting there thinking, what the heck? You guys have got all the Silverline books, and you're telling me you ain't read them? What the heck is going on? And of course, then Aaron posted, I've read them all. Like knows.
Yeah. Teacher's pet.
But I was surprised at how little they have read. I was like, come on, guys, you got to read this stuff.
I just got it in the mail yesterday.
No, not you.
That's why. That's why.
So I haven't read your mega.
The last one, of course, you just got it in the mail, but.
Is that the oversized book?
Yeah.
The big one.
I flipped through it though. Like Quinn says, it's kind of easy.
Yeah. You have to. You got a comic book. You got to look at it, right? You got to flip.
I looked at it. I'm like, it looks awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but these whammers, these whammers gotta. In fact, if I'd been I listened to the replay, so it wasn't live. But if I'd have been listening to it live, I might have jumped on there and said, "What are you guys doing? You're having a Silverline team up, and you ain't even read the books."
I watched that, and they had some pretty good ideas, ways of characters meeting up, and of course, there were some that it'd be a little hard to connect them, but yeah.
I mean, I like I said, I really like the idea. Marvel Team Up was always one of my Marvel Team and Marvel 2-in-1, Jerry, also Marvel 2-in-1. Those were some of my favorite Marvel comics. And Tommy and I were talking.
You mean Spider-Man Team Up?
Spider-Man Team Up, yeah.
We talked about that yesterday.
Yes, we did.
That's the reason why we have so many of them, because Spider-Man was in them all.
Yep. And then, of course, Marvel 2-in-1 was the Thing Team Up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that one, Tommy? You don't remember?
No, he was in most of the. I guess I didn't realize that.
Yeah, Marvel 2-in-1 was kind of like Marvel Team Up was Spider-Man and somebody. Marvel 2-in-1 was the Thing and somebody.
Huh.
I don't think it was always that way, but I think it kind of turned into that. Yeah. So I had a couple of people actually tell me that they were going to pitch me some Silverline Team Up stories. And if I'm not mistaken, to both of these people, I told them, do it. One of them was probably close to a year ago now, and I've not seen the first thing. So yeah. I love the whole team up thing. I love the whole team up idea. How do we get off on team ups? Oh, reading and
I don't know. One of us was pretty upset about people not reading books or something.
That would be me. But I'm trying to remember how I got sidetracked on that.
I don't know.
It's pretty easy. I don't know.
What? Wait, what did you just say, Roberta?
I said it's pretty easy to get sidetracked. We do it all the time. That's our thing.
Oh, I thought you were saying it's pretty easy for Roland to get upset.
That's what I thought she was
No,
baby.
no, not upset.
That's what she was saying.
No,
That is what she
No.
said.
no, getting off topic. That's our
Cry,
thing.
baby.
Yes, that is our thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think all the groups are pretty good about doing that as well.
Doesn't take much.
Yeah. All right, so my clock reads 9:20. Any other thoughts about balancing action and character development, guys?
Do it.
Do it. Balance it, yeah.
Entertain
That's
me.
my thought. Do it.
Yeah. I think if you're writing a story and you see that you've got talking heads, figure out how to make your characters move.
How to make it move. Yep.
Yeah, get your characters moving in some shape, form, or fashion. Have them running, jumping, kicking, flying, driving a car. Jerry said, sidetracked. You spent half an hour talking about bicycles.
Yeah.
You want me to send you another video?
Yeah.
No, we're not showing another video.
Roberta wants to see that wreck again.
I suppose that means
know,
Jerry saw
that's
the
a little
wreck.
mean.
I hate to hear that. Yeah, make your characters move. If you've got them reading, or drinking coffee, sitting around a table drinking coffee, that's probably going to be a really boring scene. Here's something I you guys might not find this as funny as I find it. Sometimes my students will write their stories, right? And they'll start their story. It's just the average, usual, boring day, and this is happening, and this is happening. And my response is usually, "You're right. I'm bored."
Yeah. I lived that life already. I don't want to read about it. I don't want to pay $4, $5 to read a comic book about that.
And it's kind of like, okay, if who's writing this, sitting there saying this is boring, why are you writing it?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
It's boring. You've just said it yourself. Don't write it.
I guess unless there's that's the way it starts off, and then a big alarm goes off and the building explodes, because then it's a big transition into something. But if you got 3 panels of them just going, this is just so boring.
Yeah, and it's crazy
I'm not
because
doing anything.
there's so many things available to you to make it interesting. It's like, if somebody took a director and said, here's $1 billion, make me the best movie that's ever been made.
And then you got Brad Pitt just sitting there going,
Yeah, exactly. And you got talking heads.
Brad Pitt would be eating.
So,
yeah, he'd be eating something.
Right.
Jerry said, drinking coffee is Marvel writers writing about themselves.
Yep. Yeah, take advantage of every trick you got in the book. Every angle, every in, close, far away shot, you can do anything to make it visually interesting, because it's a visual medium. You're already, the deck is already stacked against you with somebody that's not a visual, that's used to like motion, like animation and movies and all that. Take advantage of the opportunity you have to draw somebody in visually by switching it up.
You always think that whatever you're drawing, of course you're trying to tell that little story, but you're trying to sell them to buy the next issue. So don't do something that's going to make them go, I'm not going to buy the next one. What do I care? It's going to be boring. They're going to be sitting there around eating now. They just got waiting for their dinner, and now they're going to be eating it. This is going to be boring.
Use the tools at your disposal. Use the tricks of the trade. Learn some technique if you gotta.
Yeah,
I'm always trying to learn new stuff. I'm always studying other people's stuff just to see what they're doing. I like this shot, or it's not just about the drawing when I'm looking at a comic. It's about, the angles that they chose and why they chose them. And, why did they do this lighting this way? And, it all works together, and I like to see, that's what I study the books for, is to see what they, and I try to turn those into my own little SOPs just with my own flair, try to, figure out better ways to bring it to people so that they'll keep going with the story.
Yeah, no, yeah, you're absolutely right. Jerry said Ghostbusters, Bill Murray and Harold Ramis were actually doing stuff in the firehouse before the alarm went off. It's called good writing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
Um,
Yeah. Makes it
and
believable.
well, and the other, yeah, it
Mhm.
makes it believable. But here's the other thing. We talked about character development. This is part of how you also develop character, right? You have them doing stuff that was reflective of their character, right? Not just sitting around, doing nothing. Have them doing stuff that is reflective of the kind of character and person that they are and personality that they have. That's one of the reasons I always, again, love the Danger Room for the X-Men, is because it was a great way to show off their powers. Oh, that's another a pet peeve of mine is you read a comic, particularly if it's a superhero, indie superhero book. You read a comic and then you get to the end and you're like, okay, that dude did something with a blast,
Hey,
but hey, there's a big yellow
happened? I
streak
did
there.
it
What are you doing,
again.
Roberta?
I
Why don't
didn't.
you,
I didn't hit my.
I like that light streak across there. That was
I know,
great.
isn't that
Good.
fun? That's where I was going with it.
Yeah, that
That's
I love it when
that is called
when
that's
that gets
professional.
called out.
you did
It's
that on
fun.
purpose.
Hmm.
But yeah,
Yeah.
so it's
I guess if you need a page of them sitting around talking about what's coming up, couldn't you just make a little caption at the top and then start them into it? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, info dump 'em.
yeah. Well, so there's a couple of, there's lots of ways that you can do that, right? So one of the things that writers always, and you guys have probably heard it too, is like, the show don't tell. And
Oh yeah, definitely.
I always say that in comics, there's a little bit of telling.
Wait a minute, I need to drink something, so hold on a second. Let me drink.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm drinking. Oh, that was really good. I'm going to put my glass down now.
Yeah. So here's the thing, right? In comics,
I hate those.
you wouldn't say that, right? But if you were to pick this up and take a drink, we wouldn't know what unless it had Coke written on it, right? The reader wouldn't know what you're drinking. But if part of the story was to indicate that you're drinking alcohol, let's just say, it's like Tommy's, the character would say, "Tommy, what are you doing hitting the booze again?" Now we can clearly see that you're drinking, right? But instead of you saying, I'm going to take a drink of liquor here, or instead of
I should drink more Coke.
Instead of a caption saying Tommy takes a drink of alcohol, right? No, that's terrible. But you want to communicate, because we can't smell it, we can't see it, we don't know what it is, right? I guess you could always put the skull and the skull and the
or make it look like a whiskey bottle that they're drinking.
And don't just have Tommy cleanly drinking out of the bottle. I mean, have him making love to it. Just have it all going. Have little drops coming out and stuff like, oh, this is so good.
And even further than that, if it doesn't matter that it's alcohol, then don't even talk about it. Why do we care?
Right. Yeah. But if it matters, again, this is what I'm saying. If it matters, there are things that you can do that is a little bit of telling, but you have to be clever in the way you do it. And this is the reason that you have two characters often, is because you don't want Batman to say, well, I'm picking up this shoe because I'm going to look to see what size it is and compare it to the footprint.
Yeah.
Robin can say, gee, Batman, shouldn't we get this shoe to see if it's the same size as the other? Right. So you can
yeah, if you're doing it visually, why say what you're doing? That's not good.
Unless there's something you have to communicate to the audience, right? Yep. This is one of the reasons that if you'll notice, a lot of the good shows, there's an experienced character and then there's an inexperienced character, right? And the experienced character is usually the one that explains things to the inexperienced character. So the whole purpose of that is the experienced character is explaining it to the audience. Right?
Wait a minute. Are you saying whenever Batman was explaining stuff to Robin, he was actually explaining stuff to you, the reader?
Absolutely.
Oh, God, they tricked me that whole time.
Totally.
So we were Robin.
Oh,
I was Robin. Oh, my goodness. This whole time.
Let's start using that.
Oh, I love that technique. It works really well.
Yeah, but you do have to be careful in the way you do it, because it can come across as really bad writing.
Too informative sometimes. Yeah.
Yes, right. You just have to be aware of, okay, there are some things, smells. There's no way for the reader to get a smell, right?
You can see a bad look on your face.
You can see a bad look, and you can, you
caption
can
in the
put the little
bottom.
green, you can put the little green fog going up, you can do something like that, but we can't smell it. So sometimes your characters, have to say, oh, what you remember when Nightcrawler from the X-Men, he used to teleport. They would always say there was the BAMF, plus there was a smell of what? You remember? There was
the
a
I was going to say amber, but it's not amber. It's
sulfur. Yes.
Yeah, there you
sulfur.
go.
Yeah. So they always smell, and if you've ever smelled sulfur, oh, I know what that smells like, right? So as the reader, when they're like, oh, cool, yeah, bam, I smell it,
Yeah.
Jerry says Roy Thomas told the writer to create a short Canadian anti-hero, beer drinking, cigar chomping, sarcastic. He did not get credit for creating Wolverine, but he knew character. Yeah. I didn't realize that about Wolverine.
Now they spend all their time trying to take all those attributes away from him.
Oh, I know, right?
Yeah.
It's like, come on.
Smoking. We don't believe in smoking here. We can't have a character smoking.
I think it's so Wolverine should smoke, I think. And I think all of the characters around him should tell him what a bad habit that is.
Yeah.
That would be pretty funny.
I mean, think about it. Do you the people in your lives that you love, if they smoke, don't you tell them it's a bad habit?
Every single time? Yeah, probably.
Yeah. I mean, I can think of the people I can think of the people in my life, in my family.
That would be better than them just not showing him with it. That would be better. That would be a public service announcement.
Absolutely.
If Iceman goes to Wolverine and he says,
golly, dude, you need to
you have a healing factor and it's not hurting you, but kids are watching you.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Ooh.
You see,
You're killing folks, man.
Public service announcement.
Yep.
Marvel telling everybody you probably shouldn't do drinking and smoking and stuff.
Or think of a little ongoing thing, right? Wolverine puts a cigar in his mouth, and Iceman goes, psst, right? Shoots a little ice beam and puts it out, right?
Yeah.
Just constant thing, right? There's things that you could do with it without endorsing it, and I think that's part of the problem is they're afraid they're going to endorse it. I don't think anybody ever thought Marvel was endorsing cigar smoking.
No.
So
yeah, I don't even think Nick Fury does the cigar thing anymore.
No. But, and of course, now I don't read them, so I don't know how they did it. But to me, it would have been interesting if they had Nick Fury give it up for a patch or something and showed him actually have to go through.
A nicotine patch he would pull out. Yeah, that was pretty.
A little shield on it, the little eagle.
What are you doing? Nicotine, man.
Patch.
Yeah. I don't know anyone who endorses smoking, but I think that it's terrible to.
Well, I think what's hilarious, is they want to take all these things away from characters that as part of their personality, but hey, we still got them fighting.
Yeah, they're still beating the crap out of each other,
shooting each other and stuff, and just being
destroying buildings. And every time you see a building fall down, you're like, yeah, there was a condemned building already. There was nobody alive in there.
Yeah. Of course, Punisher still carries an arsenal around on him.
Yep.
Oh, but they're rubber bullets.
They're taking that away from him too, making him more of a ninja character.
Or are they?
Yeah. Are they really rubber bullets?
They've changed his symbol on his chest. They've taken the guns away, and now I say they've taken the guns away, not completely, but they're trying to phase those out with bladed weapons and stuff. And of course,
they're tasers now. They're tasers.
Wow. There's all the huge deal with action figures. They're trying to withhold those from action figures, trying not to put weapon accessories and stuff with action figures now. And
what's
all that
the
stuff.
point of action figures?
Yeah.
I really would like to know, isn't that exactly what they were for?
Well, for instance, like Todd McFarlane, he does the DC characters, but he is not allowed to put any weapons except for bladed weapons with characters, so that totally kills a lot of
when did this
figures.
happen?
Wow.
So what he did was this. Well, he got let's see, it's been in the last 2 years, because what happened is he put out the Thomas Wayne Batman, and he had 2 pistols. The second release of Thomas Wayne Batman, just after that, the variant figure, he has a sword. Thomas Wayne never had a sword, but anyway, what he did was, because he does Spawn, is he put out a weapons pack under the Spawn name to give people the option of buying the weapons pack to put with their figures, you know.
So they can buy a Spawn weapons pack.
Spawn
that includes weapons
pack
for their.
by the way, these weapons that are in the weapons pack just somehow fit, you know.
Yeah.
The DC
Coincidentally.
characters. Right. Incidentally, this happens to be the pistols that, you know, this character uses.
That's funny.
That was awesome.
It's clever,
That's
you know.
funny.
That's what I like about McFarlane.
That's
Trying
pretty
to,
cool.
you know, help the fans.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Jerry said, remember when Steranko had Captain America smoking a cigarette because he wanted a noir comic? I do not remember that. I do not remember Captain America ever smoking. Yeah. I mean, I know who Steranko is, but I do not remember Captain America ever smoking.
Or going to the bathroom. You never see him go to the bathroom.
I'm glad for that.
Yeah, thank you, Roberta. Me too. Yeah, that's not really a. That's one of those talking heads panels that we don't need, Quentin.
Yeah.
There's no action there at all.
It's a talking panel going back and forth between the stalls.
Oh, that would be great.
Oh man!
Now, if someone beats him up while he's on the toilet, that might be.
Yeah, see, you could have, and how you know the difference between the characters is you show their feet.
Your feet, yeah, you see what the boots are, or whatever shoes they're wearing.
Yeah, and you know, hey, it's Deadpool because he's got the red and black, and that's Wolverine. He's got the blue and yellow.
And then it'd be like Doctor Strange would throw his cape over the top of the stall, that just hanging over the top, so you know that's Doctor Strange in there.
Yep.
Yeah, that's cool.
More than one way to
Please
skin
don't
a cat.
put that into your next comic.
No,
that's good stuff.
Well, on that note, I guess we're gonna call it an evening here.
Oh, now.
Look at that.
Thank everyone for hanging out. Thanks, Jerry, and thanks for Wubba and all of you who hung out with us. We appreciate it. We always have
and Quentin for joining. Thanks, Quentin.
Thanks,
Quentin. Well, I appreciate you for letting me in. Absolutely. I could have joined, and Roland could have just bypassed me, and I could have just stayed in the gray area.
Ooh, I would only do that to Aaron.
Yeah.
Oh, poor Aaron.
You're giving Aaron a complex.
Yeah, no, Aaron knows I'm picking on him. Yeah, so Jerry, I need to get you to if you're still listening, when I hit the bye button, notice Sergio Cariello comes on here and he says says his name and he says, make mine Silverline. I want to get you to do that for us, Jerry.
We need to do a bunch of those. We need to get a lot more people. We need a lot of those.
We do. Yeah. We need to get a lot more people doing that because I got to get back to rotating. Jerry says Cap 111. I think I actually own that book, but I'm going to.
Yeah, I mean, even
I think
we need to do ours and stuff.
Yeah, so I want to get Jerry saying, hi, I'm Jerry, make mine Silverline. But yeah, we need to get a lot more people doing that. So we need to get everybody out and about, especially since we're at conventions. Man, I should have told Barb and Bob to get
walk around. Yeah.
Quick recap of our sponsors. Thanks to Daytona Beach Comic Con for being one of our sponsors. We love Daytona Beach Comic Con. Jerry says, thanks, gang. Have a good week. Thanks for hanging with us, Jerry.
Bye-bye.
Virtually. He was here virtually.
Yeah, I'll send you a link early next time. Maybe get you to join us. Join us live, join us here instead of
on the show.
You guys need to make your plans September 10, 11 to attend Daytona Beach Comic Con. If you like comics and if you like indie comics, a great place to pick up some indie comics, meet some independent comic book creators, and Silverline. There's going to be a whole bunch of us there. Quentin is even coming all the way from Texas. Yep. Quentin, would it be safe to say this is your very first ever Florida appearance?
It is. Absolutely.
First Florida appearance for Quentin Bedwell, y'all. So there are going to be some special things.
Start walking.
Right. So we should have, I believe my printer tells me that we should have Trump's number 3 right by then. No.
No, we will.
Yeah, so we should have Trump's number 3. Plus, there's going to be a couple of other cool things that you can get signed there. So make your plans. I'll be there. Tommy will be there. Roberta won't be there, unfortunately.
No.
Maybe we'll get her here next year.
Maybe.
Mr. Pete will be there.
Mhm.
Mr. Pete will be here. There's going to
All
be
the way from across the pond.
a baker's dozen of us there. So you guys make your plan to come get some Silverline signatures, pick up some books from us, and just chat with us about comic books in general. Thanks to Coliseum of Comics for carrying our books and being a supporter of ours. Shout out to OCD, Orlando Collector Deviants, and of course to Kablam Comics for their awesome printing job. Tommy, tell folks where they can find you online and where your next appearance will be.
Well, you find me. We'll see. Okay, then on the 2020. Okay, 20. Yeah, I'm gonna be in Kissimmee at what's the name of the show?
Infinity.
What? The Infinity. Yeah, Infinity Con, and then we'll be there with you'll be there, and Haley will be there.
Jose.
And Jose will be there.
Yeah.
Oh, golly, I'm leaving. But
Where can people find you online, Tommy?
Yeah, just go into the Google and type in Florimonte, FLORIMONTE, and you should find links to me wherever I'm hanging out. And then here every Sunday.
That's right.
Unless I'm bike riding, and then I won't be. We'll see.
Yeah, but you got to make it back in time for the show.
I know, or at least I'll call you from the car.
Yeah. Roberta, what about you? Where can folks find you on the interwebs?
You can find me on Facebook and on Instagram under.
What next show are you doing?
I don't have one planned yet.
No.
Let's see.
We got to work on getting Roberta.
We need to get you.
Shows. Yeah.
I know. I agree. Anyway, find me on Instagram and Facebook and on Sunday.
That's right.
Right here.
And Quentin, what about you? Where can folks find you on the interwebs? And where is your next appearance?
Quentin Bedwell on Facebook and Instagram. Also, right here on Tuesday nights. As far as appearances, Daytona Beach Comic Con. You can find me Wednesday nights at the local chicken strip amateur night. So yeah, come on by. Throw me some dollars.
Bring some bucks. He needs some travel money to get to Florida.
No photos.
Hey, Quentin, are you going to be doing any commissions at the show for then?
I haven't really decided yet. Are you going to do it?
Well, I always do them. Yeah, but I just do the little kid hero-y ones. So mine are really
as
quick.
Long
so
as I can keep them kind of simple. That way I can talk to people. Well, available to.
Yeah,
I'd love to. Yeah, I wouldn't mind
mine go pretty quick. So
what you need to do, Quentin, is sit down sometime and time yourself. Say, all right, well, draw something in like you've seen those little sketches, those little videos that said, here's your 30-second sketch, here's your 5-minute sketch. I love those. Right? You just sit down and time yourself and see what you can do in about 15 minutes, right? Well, on a sheet of typing paper, keep it kind of simple, and figure out if you're comfortable with that, then you can sit down and you can do some commissions like that, right? Yeah, I think that's me personally, not being an artist. I think that's something that fans absolutely love and love to get the opportunity.
Wait a minute, Rowan, I thought you were going to do commissions too. You were going to write stuff for people.
Yeah.
I used to, because way back when they used to have these the books that they would come around, and you would sign somebody's art book, and so you could flip through and see all kinds of people doing the art. I don't see as much of those anymore, but they used to do a lot. People would ask me to put something in it, so I would draw a terrible little thing, but then I would write a little poem.
Oh,
I had like 2 or 3 memorized that I would.
Roses are red, violets are blue.
You asked me to sign
just for you,
right? Exactly. You asked me to sign, so yeah, yeah. All right, so I'm Roland. You can find me all over the interwebs at Roland Man. Sometimes it's Man Roland, like on Twitter. You can find me here on Sunday nights. I will be down at this coming. Shoot, where's my calendar? This coming Saturday, I'm going to be at Sunrise Comic Con.
Infinity Con on the 20th.
Which is, I'll be hanging out with Martin Caro. I'm not really sure where Sunrise Comic Con is. They never put me on the guest thing, so I haven't talked too much about it. I'm going down to Sunrise Comic Con this Saturday, wherever that is. I think it's down around Fort Lauderdale, down kind of Miami way. And then, of course,
so no bike riding?
No, not next week. No. And then I probably need that time for my shoulder to heal anyway.
Probably.
And then on the 20th, I'll be in Kissimmee with all the gang that Tommy talked about. And until next time, you guys know what to do. Remember to
make mine
Silverline. All right, everybody.
Hi, my name is Sergio Cariello, and make mine Silverline.